6:01 p.m. So let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and the invocation. Tanya, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Bow your heads, please. Lord God, tonight's a special night. We get to convene our council and we get to discuss openly and boldly the ways that you would have us go, and that we would have undying respect for each other's opinion and do whatever is best for the village of Ortonville and all of its residents. We ask all these things in thy name and to thy glory. Amen. Amen. Roll call, please. Liz?
Rice?
Here.
Matsu?
Here.
Eshman?
Here.
Robinson is absent with notice. Skorica?
Here.
Sleva?
Here.
Wills?
Here. Have an agenda in front of us. Do we have any modifications or changes that you've discovered or would like to put forward to the council at this time? Hearing none, then if there are some, let's speak now, or otherwise we'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'd like to make a motion to approve the agenda of August 27, 2018 as presented.
Support. Motion by Councilman Skornica, supported by Councilman Eshman to approve the agenda as presented. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Agenda is approved. The council minutes from our July 23rd, 2018 meeting. Hopefully everyone has the latest slightly modified version that was provided tonight or by email, one or two, as opposed to the ones that were in our packet earlier in the week.
I'd like to the council's input on under E, under it's on page 4, yeah, planning commission. Number 2, Mayor Melanie Nybel, it indicates no action taken, and I would just like to put an excerpt in there as far as like what was. There's been discussion about it. It was, since the motion wasn't supported, putting anything in there, and I understand that the motion was lost, but based on Robert's rules that I found, that still be part of the record. If there's discrepancy on that, we could just put it in paragraph format and not as the motion.
Okay, in discussing with the manager this morning, as a matter of fact, it was confirmed that this is correct. That there is no, I made a motion and there was no support, therefore we don't need to put it in the motion.
And based on what I found in Robert's rules, there is. You do put lost motions in the record.
Or unsupported motions.
But unsupported is considered lost. It's a lost motion. And it therefore is a lost motion, it does become a record. And if we don't put it in as a motion, then that's fine. I guess my concern is these minutes are minutes of record, and if we want to go back in 6 months or a year from now, what really happened. So if we just put it at least in a paragraph form, that of some sort of paragraph, not motion.
I originally wanted something in there, and I brought it up to the manager, and they did some research.
Yeah.
Was that not from Roberts, or where was that?
Well, the MML website, that's what I forwarded earlier today to the council, that, that any motion that allegedly either died due to lack of support or was withdrawn should not be included in the minutes. So
Action only,
if it's moved and supported and then voted down, yeah, you can include those, but if it's, someone makes a motion, nobody supports it, it just dies due to lack of support, so it's like no action, according to the MML.
Right, and I referenced, I have several references of Robert's rules of different things, and it says it does. So, I mean, I don't want to get into, because we as a council always, you know, follow the general law and Robert's rules. MML is there as a guide, so I understand that, but I guess because these are, I mean, it's a record, just to put something there, even if it's not the actual verbiage of a motion, something there of what occurred.
So what I see is there is a quorum, there was a motion put out in front of that quorum.
Unsupported.
And it was, nobody within the quorum supported the motion.
That's correct.
So, so that in itself is, to me, as trustee Skornick is mentioning, should be at least documented that there was no support of that quorum. Whether you withdraw it afterwards, you know, after there was no support, but to say that there's no action taken, there was action taken, meaning that there was no support of that motion.
Correct, that is correct.
So I guess with that being said,
So we have conflict between.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're here just to advise, and
Sure.
the council can take whatever action.
and I'm just relaying what I found during my
they feel.
research based on Robert's rules. And I guess I would propose that we could put verbiage in something to the effect that President Wills requested that we reappoint Melanie Nybo to the Village Planning Commission for an additional 2-year term ending June 30, 2020. The motion was not supported.
I moved, that was the motion. I didn't request, I moved it.
I know, and I'm saying, I'm changing the word so that we're not using the motion based on the discussion, that's what I'm saying. But if we want to put it in as the motion, that's up to council, but I was just making an alternative.
So this is what I wanted to do right here. Motion by Wills, died due to lack of support.
That's,
But I was-
I'm fine with that, but I was just trying to work between the two.
I have no
motion.
problem. I have no problem putting it in there, so.
All right.
Okay,
You want it in there?
I think.
Well, I was to say, we weren't here, so we don't really have much input. My
Yeah,
concern
you were here.
is that, no, I wasn't
No,
here,
she
Dan
wasn't.
wasn't here,
But
and
the video
Karen
was-
wasn't here.
the video's
But
available.
this was brought up, an email went
Oh,
out,
I'm
and
sorry.
it was a consensus, and now it's a thought process again with no chance to research. I don't like things being brought up at the last minute at a meeting where we can't research and get information.
We
Bill
did.
sent that out, we all looked at it, nobody responded to that, I thought it was over, and I thought, like, okay, I don't need to research anything. Now we're coming up with information, it'd be nice to be able to look at that and gather information and be confident in my opinion as to what it is, you know, without us suddenly, right now on the fly. And that's what's so hard when, you know, the email was, can we do this, this, and this, it went out, no response. I didn't know I needed
Yeah,
to.
well, my opinion is on certain topics, what I'm seeing is that I would like more information.
That's what I mean.
And I've been told that, no, that's not appropriate. All you need is the action item. And now we've got very little information here, and now people are saying we want more information. So I'm.
And where is the proper amount of
It's always-
There is a fine line.
There's
Right.
always a little bit of a
There's,
give and take and a push and shove on that, so.
there is a good thing.
So to find out where those boundaries are, you know, to gather the information would be great, but when we don't have it in front of us, it's hard to.
I think
decision.
I think trustee Skornick brought that information, didn't you?
I did, here's copies of, here's.
Of
a copy
Robert's rules.
Of Robert's, which is what we follow, which is where the parliamentary procedures are documented. Here's a situation there.
And the general law and.
So general law
combining
doesn't
them.
go with the parliamentary procedures, but, I mean, here's a section of Robert's rules.
But here you got the president saying he wishes to have it in there. You got trustee Skornick is saying she wishes it was in there. So
Yeah, I have no problem.
Put it in there.
I have no problem with it being in there.
That's fine.
And again, like I said, I was just, here's another section of Robert's rules if you would like to see it.
Mark?
I
Thoughts?
personally would like to see it. but-
Karen? Thoughts?
Truthfully, I don't have any thoughts on it at this time.
Okay.
And I'm not gonna make a
So the four,
comment then.
the four that were here, it's okay.
Mhm.
I'm good, I'm good. Okay.
It's okay.
So we're gonna put in what you.
What's the verbiage that Liz needs to
Well, we
insert?
need a motion for the minutes first. We need a motion to amend.
Well, we'll do that when we motion to amend them.
Well, yeah, because we
Yeah,
have to
second.
ask to get that.
Well, you're going to approve the amended motion, the amended agenda.
Yeah.
These are the minutes, not the
minutes.
agenda.
The minute.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
So, but your verbiage, you have your verbiage right there.
Sure, I move to amend the minutes.
But there was no motion on the table to accept the minutes, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
Right.
so,
Okay, so,
So what I had here is a
and I can't do that in here, so.
motion by Wills to reappoint Melanie Nivell, and failed, you use the word failed rather than died, failed due to lack of support, period. So you want to make, we have to make a motion on that change?
No, we need to make a motion to accept the
amend.
minutes.
Oh, yeah,
As
as amended.
amended.
As
Absolutely.
amended.
Right, yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay.
So you just made that motion support.
As amended.
Right, because you said amended, I'm just supporting your motion.
The minutes are, all those in favor of the minutes as amended, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are accepted.
Well, I look here.
We have, your accepted items are building department report and ordinance violation report. Any comments, questions? No action required. Item 7 on our agenda is disbursements. We have disbursement requests in the amount of $28,326.03. At the request of those in our audience, we are including that in all of our information that those of you in the audience can see firsthand for your hard copy.
I have a question on number 26. Bill, you had put up, you came up with a rental agreement for this equipment, right?
Correct.
And then how did you arrive at this amount?
There's two different pieces of rental equipment in there. Number one is, we rented the stump grinder for the season for a total of $200. And then we rented, in order to make the crack filling process more efficient, you need an air compressor to blow the stuff out of the cracks, put the crack seal down. So the rental places wanted roughly $150 to $160 a day to rent an air compressor capable of doing the work. Bob Oxwell had one, so we rented his for $75 a day, so half of what the normal rent was.
I think that's great that we saved money. It does bring to mind the last time we
Yep.
used someone else's piece of equipment, so
We
is there
make sure
verbiage
we
in the
got
agreement?
we make sure we have a release.
Okay.
So if he breaks it, it's his.
Is an air compressor out of the question for the?
We want to buy, that'll be something we have put in the new equipment plan that we want to get this year because it's coming up time and time again for different projects and you really do need one. So a new one's going to run between probably, I'm going to say ballparkish, $2,500 to $3,000. That'll be a new one, and we won't have to rent again because, we want to rent one this year for about $1,000, so.
Did we ever have one? Do you recall, do you know? Anybody know if we ever had it?
We have a
And we just never
compressor
replaced
in
it?
the
Yeah,
shop,
got a compressor in
not-
the shop, but that's
Yeah.
not
Oh,
portable.
not
Yeah.
important.
To the best of my knowledge, I think we've always kind of used portable or rented one, or, we don't have anything that's capable of what we need, so.
Would that contract with Bob cover, not just equipment, but injuries or anything like that? Is that in there, anything along that lines?
I'm sorry, you, along
With the contract with Bob, does that covers his equipment, does that cover anything with injuries of liability with his equipment being used? Like if another DPW employee was using his equipment or anything.
Good question, no. Right now, because they're both employees, so they'd be covered under work
Workers'
comp,
comp.
so unless.
With his equipment?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because
That's
they're on.
Because we have a formal
Yeah,
contract with the.
you're on your payroll, so.
Okay. All right.
What if we might want to just, throw the question out to the attorney, just to get his 2 cents on that, sometime when you're, not a special call, but just
Yeah.
when you're talking, just to see if there's anything that we need to do to add to that. I'd like to make a motion to approve our bills for the period ending August 15, 2018, in the amount of $28,326.03.
Support.
I would just like to make a note that it's a little high because it does include our new radar signs that we recently purchased and have erected within the village for, to lower the speeds.
So we have a motion and a support. Motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Eschman. Do we have further comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the disbursements as presented in the amount of $28,326.03.
We've already got
And Dan supported it.
No, we're gonna vote, we're having a roll call vote on our disbursements of $28,326.03. So, roll call vote, please.
Westhu,
Yes.
Ashman,
Yes.
Skornica,
Yes.
Sleva,
Yes.
Wills,
Yes.
Bryce.
Yes?
Motion is carried. At the behest of our auditor, which just completed their audit a couple weeks ago, it was suggested that we, the council, begin approving the treasurer's report for every month moving forward. This is something we've not done per se. So we will begin to do that at this point in time.
So, of all the audits we've had thus far, what changed for that recommendation to come forth?
It was mentioned that the treasurer's report includes payroll information that our disbursement approvals do not include. So when we approve disbursements, it does not include payroll items. So they're suggesting that we do that for that purpose. Is that about right?
basically, yeah.
Okay.
So in order for us to, we're approving basically the same way we've always approved it, pretty much rubber stamped without any detail, right? So in the past, we've approved it. We said, okay, it's acceptance items, but now that we're, putting our name on the approval of the report, then would we need more detail surrounding that?
Just a motion. Just a motion.
I think so.
They want a motion and support and they want a vote.
And I was thinking the same thing, but we also never have any verification of the disbursements either. We just are,
Well, they're line item though.
but we don't know that they're being paid, we don't know what they are, so this is no difference. We don't know the amounts in the account. If I'm understanding your question, we don't have verification of this, but this is the information that we have, correct?
Yeah, I'm just saying, this is still high level, very high level, right? A lot of detail went into this, right, Beth? So my point is, if we're asking to approve that detail, wouldn't we need more detail to approve it as opposed to high level? I guess I'm asking council, I'm not saying I'm requesting it, but it seems like we want more detail around it.
I thought the same thing, just because as soon as you say we approve it, I like the acceptance, and I understand from the auditor's perspective, and I also looked this up as well, because I know on another council I was on, that they simply just put on there that we've accepted it, and that we put a notation in the meeting minutes that the file is retained, the report was placed on file for audit. So like in the disbursement or the acceptance items, we just put that little verbiage in there, the treasury report, you know, indicating the balance of was accepted, the report was placed on the file for audit. Just something to think about.
Bottom line is that the auditor has asked us to make a motion. I have no problem. I don't see any reason why. And to me, we would have no higher degree of asking questions or level of detail than what we already do on the disbursement. So if you have that, and you have an opportunity previously to ask details on that treasurer's report. So that's all they want. They want to see a motion and they want to see a vote.
I make a motion to approve the treasurer's report for the month ending July 31st, 2018, as presented.
Support. Motion by Councilman Bryce, supported by Councilman Wills to approve the treasurer's report for month ending July 31st of 2018. Any discussion?
What does the DDA reimbursement for a total of $14,186 consist of?
My name is Beth Voorhees. I am the village treasurer, and the majority of that is the DDA's payroll. We pay that quarterly, so that would have been from April through June for the DDA director's payroll.
And would you say the majority, you're talking
The
90?
majority, it was like 12,000 and something, and the rest of it was probably these copier expenses.
That's DDA paying us back.
Yes.
Correct?
Right,
That's a
so
receipt.
Those are all,
Right, that's a receipt.
right, those are deposits.
Right. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none. Roll call vote, please.
Ashman,
Yes.
Sorica,
No.
Sleva,
Yes.
Wills,
Yes.
Bryce,
Yes?
Butsu,
Yes.
Okay, we have a vote of 5-1. Motion does carry. 5 yeas and 1 nay.
Could we still put in the minutes that the report is filed for audit purposes?
It's always on.
Well,
It's always on, available.
But it's a record, just formalizing the record. Otherwise, Robert's rules won't suggest that either, so.
Okay, item 9 on our agenda is public comment on agenda items. So you have in front of you the agenda items. And so we want to stick to the agenda items. So if you have a comment you'd like to make, then raise your hand, I'll recognize you, and then you can step to the podium stating your name. Yes, Larry Hayden.
My name is Larry Hayden. I'm a resident of the Village, 200 Mill Street. I'm also a current planning commissioner. I am giving a public comment on under unfinished business item C, planning commissioner within C. First of all, I want to express my sincere thank you to the council for reaffirming their faith and trust in me as a planning commissioner and extending my appointment. I appreciate that, I really do. I did hear some feedback. I unfortunately was not able to make it to the meeting, but I did hear some feedback about things there, and I heard that there were some positive comments about them. I really appreciate those too, I really do. Having said that, part of the reason I was not there is part of the reason why I'm up here speaking tonight, because I have some concerns about how the process went through and developed. First of all, I know it was short notice, but neither of the commissioners, myself or Melanie Nivell, received notice that we were going to be on that agenda meeting that night. I would have liked to have been there, and I had known it would have been on there. So that concerns me that we did not get the notice, even though it was short notice, and I guess came up unexpectedly. I also understand from, and like I said, this is only secondhand knowledge because I was not at the meeting, but I understand that there was not any real reason given not to reappoint Melanie, and that she also did not apparently have any chance to provide any input to the council regarding her reappointment. And I would like to express for myself as a planning commissioner, my experience working with Melanie, that she is a very hard worker. She provides a lot of really good input to us on the planning commission. We consider her a valuable resource. And I know she's very passionate about the community. I understand sometimes that when people are passionate about things, sometimes some strong words get spoken. I know that's happened on both sides. And I just hope that this council really takes that into consideration, that when she's really passionate about this community, and that comes out, and we need people who are passionate about that on the planning commission, and she is a valuable resource, and I just want the council to just keep that in mind and possibly reconsider the decision not to move forward with the motion to appoint her at the last meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, Linda.
My name is Linda Hayes. I live at 690 Oakwood Road. And first of all, I want to thank this council for really listening to us and really looking into some of our concerns, especially with the traffic and the speeding. Last month afterwards, and you instilled those little readers things, Bill. And I had a chance to talk to Lieutenant Glover at that meeting, and our concern was not stop signs for pedestrians' safety per se, as much as we still feel that if they were installed, it will stop the thoroughways, you might say, and discourage people from using our village as a shortcut to get around. So with that being said, they come off of Oakwood Road, that sign flashes their speed, they slow down, and as soon as they get past it, they're doing it. And I understand that they probably would do that with stop signs too. I understand all of that. But our thinking is it's gonna cause them to have to stop 3 or 4 more times. And the reason they're using it as a cut through is to save 24 seconds or whatever they think they're saving. So I would still like council, if you would, to maybe still consider stop signs at some of these places that we kind of picked as like key points. And we talked with you, Wayne, about it, that instead of having straightaway, there would be at least a stop sign halfway there that would kind of stop people from traveling through. But again, I want to thank you for really addressing that, because it has helped. And if they ever come up with that thing where you can wear the little vest with the thing, Colonel and I are in for it, because we do take our cell phones out now. We're not videoing anybody, but they don't know that. So anyway, so thank you, and I still would like you to consider stop signs at some of the places, and definitely down there at the curve on South Street. That's got to be addressed, as Tanya well knows. We were there waiting, and the guy did not stop. Did not stop, so we have a witness now. Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Carl.
Good evening, council. My name is Carl Hayes. I live at 690 Oakwood Road. And kind of what, like Linda said, I would just like to thank the council and our village manager, Bill Sprague, for moving quick on kind of some things that we were personal about. I don't know, Bill, if you spoke to the business that was causing us a noise problem or not, but it's really been much better since we spoke at the last meeting. I don't know if it was just a coincidence.
I would love to take credit. I left 2 messages and didn't get return phone calls.
Okay, because we can thank you here, but it's not so much abusive anymore. So I'd like to thank whoever was involved with that. Also, thanks for the fast action on the speed limit sign. It may not be working, exactly as we hoped, but it is up and it is working. Also, on 11D, considering new business, you're gonna talk about pedestrian crosswalk. I assume that that's the existing one down by the women's group home crossing South Street at the bridge. Well,
That's
I was
correct.
wondering too, because the DPW guys have been out painting the crosswalks. There is no crosswalk paint on Church Street at the corner, the 90-degree corner by the post office. When you're heading south on Church Street, you cross Mill Street, you hit the 90-degree corner before you get to South Street. There's no crosswalk painted there. Me and Lindy cross there almost every day when we're walking. I don't know if it's just I spoke to one of the DPW guys and he said that it's really not on any of his paperwork to paint one there. And I was
That
wondering-
sidewalk does end there, you're right.
I was just wondering if it was an oversight that just didn't get put on his paperwork, or is there something that you people have to add onto it?
Yeah, we would.
But there really, I think that there really should be a painted across the roadway,
Good point.
a crosswalk there. And that's what I had to bring up.
Okay.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, sir. Any other comments, public? On agenda items? Okay, item 10, items from trustees. Committee, subcommittee updates.
Usually I start this in. Okay, I attended the Oakland, my subcommittee is the Oakland County, the Ortonville Community Historical Society. And we held our Golden Jubilee ceremony on August 4th, and it's the 50th anniversary of our Historical Society. We have a 50th anniversary plaque. It's very beautiful, and that's on display at the Old Mill Museum. We had a ceremony to start on August 4th, and that began at 2 o'clock. We had ice cream, we had cake donated by Vicky's. Ron Sutton donated advertising and celebration signs, and Mary Alice Seelbinder provided an oral history of the old mill. And there was music by the ensemble. So it was a very nice day. It ended at 6. We had a potluck dinner. Food was excellent. And it was a hot day, and so we had lots of water and iced tea there. So it was a very nice ceremony and a very nice day. That's it.
Yeah, I unfortunately was not able to attend, and I wanted to, but schedule wouldn't allow it, so I heard it went really well.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Karen.
Any questions?
Mark?
The Fire Authority Board did not meet this month, however, I was at the museum. It was an excellent time. I had a personal discussion with Ron Sutton for at least 45 minutes. Very
It's always
interesting.
It's always a pleasure.
And if you, maybe next year, if you haven't been to the museum in a while, please make the effort to do it when it's open. It's a lot of fun.
Open every Saturday from 10 to 2.
10 to 2.
I don't have anything on personal committee, did not meet.
Okay. Ditto. Okay.
I do not, unfortunately. I was not at the planning commission meeting. I was out of town last month. I know somebody did stand up and say what was going on, so I don't need to bring her in again.
I just wanted to make a comment, if I may, about the event, the sale of the Fletcher School Building. That has been consummated. It is complete, effective last week. And there are dumpster recycling bins outside of all the doors, and the purchaser is working on that to already do renovation. So technically, it was purchased by BLB Enterprises LLC, and which we all know also is very, very vast. So that has been complete.
So what are they repurposing it for then?
Well, good question. I don't really know. I have several calls in, but I have not had them returned yet. I know he's in the process of hiring a manager on this, for this particular project. And beyond that, the only thing I know is that the Lions Club has been granted approval to hold the carnival and on the property as we did previously when the school opened, which is part of September Fest. Did you have some comments, Shelby? If you do, step up to introduce yourself if you would, please.
Hi, I'm Shelby Stewart, a citizen. Based on his proposal, it's supposed to be some kind of sports complex with classes. So that should be what he's repurposing it for, you know, indoor sports, travel leagues, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
That's interesting, because obviously we have Fred here, who's an integral part of our local sports.
I've talked to Barry Bass.
Okay.
I pretty much know what he's up to.
All right.
No conflicts.
Good. Thank you.
Okay, new business. Speaking of Fred, 11A is September Fest update.
I'm retiring in a few years anyway, so. No, Barry Bass is a good man, and we plan on working together on a lot of things. By the way, he's the one who bought the skate park, and from what I understand, that's where the skate park's going to be. Fletcher.
Indoors.
I don't know if it's indoors or not, but it's in the village, and it's a good thing, because our kids still get to use it.
Okay.
But
So-
September Fest.
So is there a timeline on when he's going to remove that then, Fred?
Yes, yes. Not unless it gets moved back because of the carnival, but tentatively, September 15th is supposed to be out of there.
Very good.
He purchased, we got the check, so we're good.
Good.
Okay, September Fest. Open to any questions. It's in its 29th year. I'm starting my 20th year running this thing. Back when I first started, it was one street, Mill Street basically, south of Mill, and the old mill was involved. And my goal to make it larger, and was successful in year 2000 to encompass more streets. We doubled the size of September Fest. So through all these years, we've always had some of the favorites for September Fest, which is a family fun festival in my eyes. And that's what my goal was always to have it, to bring in families into the village. And the favorites are, of course, the kids area with inflatables. That is, September Fest is presented by Genesis Credit Union. They give me $3,000 to make sure that the kids area is completely free. Back in the day, we used to charge quarters or whatever for those games. Then we went to an armed band for $10, and one of the Genesis Credit ladies, Della, came up with the idea she wanted it free for the kids. And then basically I said, well, you can be a sponsor, and that's how that became free. She passed away, so we named it after her, Della Kozloff, kids area. Some of the other favorites that come back every year, of course, is the Peg Zoo, the pony rides, and kids competition games. The Rotary does a penny scramble. We have jump rope contest. MSU Credit Union over there has a chalk drawing contest. Over the years, we brought in Myers for this third year, and what they did is hand me some money and said, have fun with it. And so we try to bring in more entertainment with that funds. We purchased Meyer cards for like these kids competitions, for the pie baking competition. Myers sponsors that. I'm not sure what the flavor of this is this year. Do you know, Karen, at all, what flavor the pie is this year?
Actually, we've been so busy with the 50th anniversary, we didn't get to discuss that, so we're going to discuss it at the next meeting.
I'm not sure, but whoever gets to be the person that gets to be a judge, you're usually in good shape. A lot of calories, but I've had the honor to do that before when it was an apple pie. I don't know the lady's name, but she's 91 years old, and she took first place. So that's going on down there. What we've added to the old mill, after all the competition and stuff for the pies, and of course they're open, is we're having the kids pie eating contest. They're not going to eat these fabulous pies that are in the competition. We're just buying a bunch of Myers, stick your face in and go for it type pies. So that will be held at the old mill as well. We have the favorite ones. Some of the other favorites, the classic car show in the last couple of years, because the weather's been really good. We've had close to 200 plus cars down there. Not everybody registers, but Randy Wise Ford is our sponsor, along with Myers. And what Myers does, we pick up $25 gift cards. We raffle those off. The village is involved with the manager's pick for a couple cars. And there's a lot of awards, and it's free. Last year, we put our donation bucket out. We titled it Donations for Any Kind of Park Funds to Build Sidewalks at the park, Township Park. And like $600 out there. And so we'll probably put that out there again because it helps. With no millage and things like that, I tend to hit the community up quite a bit. Also, what's new this year, it's going to be fun. I haven't got confirmation yet, but we have unicycles lessons for free in the center of the intersection out here. He's going to give confirmation by September 10th. That'll be fun. It's actually the Davis and Methodist Church. I saw him do it at the Pumpkin Fest a couple of years ago, so I asked him to come over. Also, what's new and sponsored by Hamilton's Feed is children's pedal, or tractor pedal, tractor pull. Believe it or not, these tractors, just like the big boys on TV, the further they go, the harder it gets, some kind of weight mechanism. We have it for all ages of kids. It's going to be in the center of the street down there by Hamilton's. We took away the vendor spots on both sides, so we have plenty of room. And that's all be interesting. I also watched that, got the business card 2 years back, and they're available. And it's a $450 ticket, but it's 3 hours. And if you get a chance, it starts 12 o'clock is the registration. This will all be in the paper. And it goes for 3 hours, so it's going to be a lot of fun for those kids. And believe it, they work at it. It's fun watching them. See, also what's new is some of you might know Trustee Bob Marshall. He's quite the country and western singer. He's a big ticket, and he has this whole band together. And we got DTE to sponsor him. He's going to be on stage. He's pretty much taking up stage space majority of the afternoon, from 12 to 4. Because it's such a big band, they need sound check and a whole. You should have seen this contract. And I handed it back to him. I said, "This is September Fest, not Auburn Hills, the Palace." So they modified it, and the pricing was real good for $800, and he probably gets $2-3 grand if he plays at those big venues. So that's going to be interesting. Check him out. He's got 3 CDs, won numerous awards for his country voice. I had him at September Fest last year just to play for an hour with his guitar solo, and I admired him. I really did. He gave me a CD to take up to my mom because she was a little under the weather, and that perked her right up because it's old school country and western, and it really was helpful for her. So that's sold it to me. I want to bring it to this community, and you'll enjoy the show. We still have the favorite duck race, of course, down at the creek at 3:30. I'm sure the Rotary will be out selling those tickets here pretty soon. And then in front of Papa Bella's, we have stage 2. We have solo guitars, acts all day long. And what else is new this year, we got rid of the talent show because we must not have much talent in this town. We're just too embarrassed to come up. But we tried to open it up for kids, and we were getting 4, 9 kids. We did that 3 years in a row, so I gave all the chance in the world for these kids to come out and show their talent. So I'm bringing back the magic show. We usually fill the old town hall. I think the fire goes 80 people in there. we pack it for the shows, and that's at 2 and 4. Gordon Ross is a favorite in southeastern Michigan, so he's always fun. He's kind of kid friendly, magic show, and that's what we're aiming for. And then the Lions Club, I attended the DDA meeting last week, Monday or Tuesday it was, and a nice discussion with that committee. And there was a Lions Club rep there and myself. And the Lions Club will be bringing back their beer tent and the cornhole, and from what I understand, they're gonna have food trucks on Thursday night. We're at a Saturday event, so what they're doing there is just trying to bring more people into the community. There was talk about making Septemberfest a 2-day event next year, and I talked to a few of my board members. Some are okay with it and some aren't. So it's up to them, it's not up to me. So if they approve it, and then it's also up to you guys, if they approve it to have a 2-day thing, we'll shoot for it. I'm gonna do another survey during Septemberfest, and we'll go around. We typically 75 to, we had 140 vendors at one time. We'll see what we get this year, but I did do an interview with each and every one of them, and most of them like the 1 day because they do so many 3 and 2 days in their yearly schedule that the 1 day is kind of a break for them, and they do really well, majority of them. So I would do that again, and then if I get pretty good response, I asked the DDA and there's a couple volunteers, said they step up and help me because I'm the only full-time employee that runs this, and we'll see what we come up with. So we're going to shoot for that. Lions Club are shooting for getting that carnival back. So if it's a 2-day Septemberfest, I'm all for it. If we, again, that takes more money. I've already talked to Genesis Credit Union. Linda, I can't think of her last name, but she's in charge of community involvement, and she's for it. So that means maybe her $3 grand would be $6 grand. I don't know. But when I get sponsor money, it all goes right back into Septemberfest. We don't put it in our pockets. My part of the fundraiser of this whole deal is the arts and crafts. You know, we get our booth spot. Hopefully that stays with Parks and Rec. It doesn't always, because it takes money to run this thing. So, if you got any questions, I don't think of that. I think it's a big event. I'm looking forward to it. I did contact the newspapers today. We're ready to go. Everything's scheduled. Only loose end I got, and it's my fault, is I got to get with CERT team, fire, and sheriff are all aware they're ready to go. But Dave Ploff is just waiting for the letter to have CERT team involved. And I briefly talked to Larry a little bit about it as well, and we'll try to get a meeting with them. And I want to get one more meeting with the Lions Club, if possible, because we talked about doing some mutual advertising for this. And I have some things going out already. Last year, on that map that you see, I did put that in the newspaper that they have a beer tent. Even though I don't promote it as Septemberfest, it's there. So any liability for that beer tent goes on Lions Club, not Septemberfest. It's on private property. The only issue I had with, well, it's not really an issue, but there wasn't very good communication. It was for 29 years, we've been parking at Fletcher. We shuttle our people down there, our vendors park down there, we shuttle them back. And now Carnival's there, so we have to either share that spot, or I'm gonna contact the superintendent, see if he allow our response to get a spot as well. We didn't communicate too well on that. That's partially my fault. We'll do a better job next year for that. So you got any questions?
I have a question in regards, we got a permit here for the food trucks on the 20th, but I don't see any permit on last month's meeting for the DDA or for the Septemberfest normally don't we approve or permit?
Oh, that was
And it's
a long time ago.
That was a long time
He
ago.
submitted a bunch of them like all at once for like the year. I don't remember when, but it was some time ago.
Yeah, I put it, I usually send them in right after Septemberfest is over. Now, not Bill, but
That
prior.
was a year ago.
Well,
No,
not
it
quite.
was,
Well,
it was like
It was-
April or May.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent them in right after September
Okay, yeah.
before for the next year, and they were put on hold. But I try to get this thing, because it's a lot of planning that goes into this. I try to get those approvals out of the way. It's like, when we're, the very next day, that Monday, I'm ordering the stage for next year already, because we don't want to lose out. I lost out on one year, and we had to get 2 hay wagons out there, and a pickup truck. That was our stage. Anyways,
Thank you.
yeah, we got to,
Good update.
Thank you.
that it? All right, I hope you all attend.
Okay.
I would like to point out that normally we have 2 judges, so we
Yeah,
I would like.
anybody want to volunteer, see me?
We have another meeting before that, so.
Fred, are you looking for council members to do the judging on the car show again?
Yes, the village manager or one of the, who's ever appointed, I know you can kind of choose whatever you want, and then you guys make a duplicate plaque for the office and one for the contestants. I heard today we're doing 2, so it's up to you, but I was telling Bill that I get them for $22, these plaques, pretty much the same plaques you guys got. And that we could get you your plaque, you just pay me back, where I can give you the contact.
What do you mean, you brought out today, we do 2, in the past, I've been the judge for the last several years.
I've judged
We've
it.
done, you know,
It's
before,
Right.
yeah, before
Well, as you can ask me.
35 or after 30, I don't know if I have the
40
year
was-
right,
it
but.
was year.
42, 49.
49.
So are you, is that the 2 you're referring to, is just
59.
before this date and after this date too? Okay, yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, okay, when you said 2, so like, yeah, we.
No, I thought you guys were thinking 2 cars.
We do.
We were.
We
Okay.
did.
We do, one before 1949 and one later.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
that's how I made payment.
And then we do 2, so we keep one in the office, and then the car owner receives it as,
But you have to get bigger office here first.
I know, like, did last year never make it up on the wall yet? I'm not sure.
They're hanging out the bathroom, the kitchen, the foyer.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Al.
Yeah, the difference between our flags and his is we put the picture of the car in there. So
Right.
if we want to go with his, it'll be generic and just be, you know.
Yeah, we have plaques for supervisor's choice, clerk's choice, seniors, vintage, and the recreation director's choice. And then Randy Wise, we buy, these are pretty cool looking trophies, they're big old spark book. And then we categorize those.
So one last, so we got all these nice pictures, we got all these plaques of past winners. Is there any place we can post that somewhere around the car show to say past winners?
Oh, that'd be great.
Hey, otherwise, they're stuck in your office.
It's just, I'm sure you,
Put them on a board.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, find some volunteers, make up the little thing.
yeah, volunteer.
I can't volunteer, unfortunately.
It'll be bigger than a chalkboard?
I like that idea.
I don't know how
Really.
far back the earliest one that we have in the office goes. Do you know, like, how far?
I mean, it's the whole.
Right, the notes,
all
they're not
I know.
all displayed, but.
They're- They go beyond 1999, because that's when I had my
Yeah,
first.
probably.
It'd be
There's
fun
gotta
to
be
start with at
20
least the
years.
first, you know, the first 25, you can't do all of them.
Do we have a freestanding chalkboard available or something you can clip them to?
Screw it and nail it.
You could just get a piece of plywood, put a little tack or tint or framing down on them, and just,
Yeah.
but it's gotta be able to stand up.
I think that's a nice idea.
Good idea.
We'll
You
talk
can do
to
it.
you. Yeah, I like that idea.
Responsibility with what's on all bills.
Yeah, so we need anybody interested in being a judge.
I can do it again.
I can do it, yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So I'm off of it.
Judging
I've been
is,
doing it, it's like I'm a pro at this.
if I remember right,
I'll be there.
call me if I need to verify it, but I think the judging has to be over with by 1 o'clock.
And I think we
then
usually.
the awards
by
go out
noon.
by-
By noon and
Is it
then
noon?
the printing.
Because by the time we plug you around.
And then we do the
printing
awards
done.
at 3 o'clock. So you get the mic, you get the, you can introduce them.
Okay, sounds good.
All right, I'm going home.
Thank
Good idea.
you.
Okay, item B under new business, special event permit request by the DDA.
Good evening, Matt Jenkins, Ortonville DDA Executive Director. You have before you a park use permit. When we came before you in June, if you'll recall, we weren't quite sure if this was the permit that would necessarily apply to this, but we thought we'd better be safe than sorry. And so here we are again before you with this permit. Pointing out that I believe the recommended motion does indicate that we still need to get sheriff and fire approval on our permit before it would necessarily be effective. So I want to make sure I mention that. And similar to June, we are hoping to host this truck rally in conjunction with the Lions Club, hosting of the carnival and the beer tent. The idea is to have an added element downtown, highlighting our downtown, potentially highlighting local businesses. This is at a time frame where some of them would have to remain open. In June, many of them remained open, and it was a positive experience for them. We're not requiring or leaning heavily on the businesses to stay open, but certainly that will be one of the ideas and how they can be involved and engaged. I'll entertain any questions on the permit or the event.
I have a question. You say it's in conjunction with September Fest. Now, does that, what's the exact date though that the food trucks would be there?
September 20th, Thursday.
How many
I
trucks
didn't
will there
realize
be?
that said that.
Yeah.
I would have addressed it.
So I thought maybe it was.
How many trucks will there be?
We were planning on 8.
8.
Yep. Last time we had 7.
What you meant to say was it's gonna start on Thursday the 20th, right? Or you're talking about food trucks being there Friday and Saturday and Sunday?
No.
Only on
It's not-
Thursday?
Only on Thursday.
So I guess, okay, we could, just 'cause I thought it's in conjunction with September Fest, it would be the Friday and then Saturday September Fest. So it's gonna be Thursday night, and then nothing's going on for Friday night, and then Saturday September Fest.
Correct. Well, the Lions Club still have the carnival and the beer tent. They have it Thursday through Sunday.
The carnival will be set up and ready for Thursday?
Well, we're not sure about Thursday, definitely Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay.
But there will be no food trucks there on Saturday.
Oh, I'm pretty confident.
Am I understanding that
I
correctly?
can't speak for Fred, but I'm pretty confident he has food trucks like he usually does
Okay.
for September Fest.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, okay.
On streets full of food
Yeah.
For
Okay.
Saturday.
for Saturday.
Okay.
So where will the 8 trucks be then? So I see the map, and I see, they're just gonna be spaced on Mill Street and I mean,
Well, one of the things we'll do is we'll go through it with the fire chief. Plot out where we would like the trucks to be. For the event in June, we had 7, so we had 4 lining the east side of South and 3 lining the south side of Mill. That would be where we would start. Our guess is we would back up and use more on South than on Mill for this event. Just because of the proximity to the beer tent.
so there will be street closures for that Thursday then?
We were not planning street closures.
Were there street closures when you had the 7 food trucks out there previous?
No.
So
They will,
all right.
they'll be set up to serve onto the sidewalk.
But I do agree with your opening statement that the parade permit is a little bit, I mean, if you're doing food truck permits, maybe we set up a permit for food trucks, you know, because this is just requesting food trucks, right?
Or it could be
As
just
opposed to a
parade for an
or-
event. Just type
I'm
of
talking
event.
long term.
Typically what, I've seen other examples being, instead of calling a parade, that it's called special event.
Event.
Special event
Yeah.
permit.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
special thing, we
Yeah.
can redo it.
That's a good idea.
And then one other comment, it would be nice to have the fire and sign off, so when we're approving the permit, it's not pending their approval, right? So they've already looked at your plan and they've checked it off and that's what we see and we're good to go, right?
That's
As opposed to
ideal.
pending.
That's the ideal scenario.
All right. Next time.
Right? Yeah.
Okay. Just a comment.
And then I've gotta ask this, how many food trucks are we gonna have on Saturday then? I just,
It's the regular food, I mean, based on just past experience, the regular food vendors, bullfrogs.
Pond Street on September Fest, we typically have anywhere from 8 to 11 food vendors.
Okay.
Not all trucks, some are set up with tables.
okay.
Not just food trucks, we have
Just food,
vendors like
Yeah, like
VFW,
Okay.
VFW and other.
Lions Club used to do it,
Yeah.
and then we have an ice cream truck.
Yeah.
Masonic Lodge.
Yeah, besides
Oh,
lots of
those-
food.
There was a
Yeah,
Polish
hot
truck
dogs.
last year on this street too.
Yep,
Mhm.
exactly.
Yeah, food
And then,
vendors rather than food trucks.
Yeah, there's Polish sausage.
Okay, I wrote down food vendors, okay.
One thing that wasn't mentioned, but I'll segue on is, in order to help alleviate the problem with taking up parking spots by the food trucks, is that Fred is gonna have a shuttle service from the, probably Burt or Harvey Swanson Elementary to various stops, and they'll make a loop through town, so there'll be a shuttle service. The Lions Club is also negotiating right now to have, hopefully, a shuttle service on Sunday and Friday as well. So, but that will be a different process, so.
But if the, one other question, I know the last time we approved food trucks coming in, I think Chief Pappas was here and I had concerns over the health permits and the approvals, and I believe Chief said at that time they take care of that as well to make sure all the permits. So each of those trucks will be approved, or someone from the fire department will be inspecting the food truck for their permits to make sure they're.
In advance of the time of the event, Chief Pappas and a couple others will tour each facility to verify their health permit and their fire suppression system.
All right, thank you.
Incidentally, as we're getting better at this, we are requesting those things in advance, and also requesting certificates of insurance listing the village, DEA, fire, police as additionally insured.
Thank you.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, the suggested motion to approve the PDA.
Right, we have to make it. I'll make a motion to approve the DDA's request for special permit for food truck event in conjunction with September Fest, contingent upon proper fire department and sheriff department's approvals.
Support.
We have a motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Rice, to approve the PDA's request for a special permit. Et cetera, et cetera. All those in favor of, any other discussion?
No.
Hearing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 11C, Septic Smart Week proclamation.
Boy, this is a long time coming.
Yeah.
This was very,
We, if I may, Your Honor, I'll speak.
Yes, you may.
Just do this here real quick. Part of what we're doing is, obviously, this village is very dependent on the health of their septic systems. So part of what we're doing is not only a septic awareness week, but we're treating it like, almost like Septic Awareness Month. So we're partnered with several individuals, one of which is our friends at the Citizen, and they're going to be running a series of articles every week regarding septic tanks and how to maintain them, that kind of thing, just to raise awareness. This card that you got a copy of, and by the way, since we gave you a card, we're saving the 35 cents that takes the mail to you folks, so you won't get another one in the mail. But every village resident will get one of these cards And we've also partnered with Harrison Ho, who was the only septic tank provider in the area who returned the phone calls to me when we went out. And so they are offering, if you mention and make your appointment to do your septic tank cleaning in the month of September, they'll give you $20 off. And they may even do something even more special depending on the number of people who call. So we'd like everybody to get on a routine schedule in that. So you'll be seeing that, plus also there on the front side of it where the address is, there's information on websites for the EPA and the septic tank information you can get there. I believe, like the Citizen, we found a really good series of articles from Michigan State Extension Service that, each one kind of has a different thing, and not to take away the thunder, one of them is, what not to flush down the toilet and what to flush down the toilet. And it's and I almost forgot to, OTV, we've engaged Greg Norman, who, when I asked him to get engaged in this and told him about a couple things on YouTube, he thought they were pretty dry and stuff, so he's talking about making up something that's got a little more attention grabbing or something, and maybe a little humor to it, like, I don't know, Septic Hero or something or other, and run it on OTV so that we can really get this out. And then also we're going to be providing these pamphlets and stuff like that to various residents and handing them out. Hopefully, maybe even we'll make them available or something outside the office during Septemberfest or something. So we're really going to make a push in September to teach people how to manage their septic systems. And I'll tell you the same thing I said up in Lapeer last week. There is a certain amount of irony in that, because do you know what else? Also, the week of September 17th to September 21st is Constitutional Awareness Week. So I said, somebody had a better sense of humor than me if they put Constitutional Awareness Week and septic tank on the same week. So I said, okay. So with that, we would like you to approve the resolution or proclamation. And we're also going to, obviously, it goes without saying, put stuff on the website and that. So we're going to really blitz it in September.
I'm sorry, maybe you said it and I missed it. When are they scheduled to be sent out?
The cards are going to be sent out probably
this
week yet. And then these will be we're going to distribute these out of the office and the pamphlets and make them available to people, put them up on the website.
Maybe when they come in to pay their, the
Yep.
last run for their taxes, with taxes September 14th, we can have them there too.
And we get a lot of people stop in, like new homeowners and stuff like that, or real estate people, so we're going to try to blitz this, really hard in September.
So I make a motion to approve the Septic Smart Proclamation and participate in Septic Smart Week from September 17 to September 21, 2018.
So, are you going to read the proclamation? I think it's important for the young public to hear that proclamation.
I will once we vote on it. So we have a motion by Councilman Wells, supported by Councilman Skornica, to approve the proclamation. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Proclamation reads, whereas proper septic system use and routine care are vital to protecting public health, preserving our highly valued groundwater, lakes, streams, and waterways, and avoiding costly repairs that can result from neglect. And whereas 100% of septic systems in the village of Ortonville treat wastewater from homes and businesses. And whereas wastewater professionals of Oakland County use their expertise in the design, installation, maintenance, and regulation of septic systems in the village of Ortonville. And whereas the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency's Septic Smart program used by the Village of Ortonville officials, does educate homeowners about the need for proper septic system use and routine maintenance. And whereas residents and the environment of the Village of Ortonville benefit from properly designed, installed, operated, and maintained septic systems. Now therefore, we, the Village of Ortonville Council, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through 21, 2018 as Septic Smart Week in the Village of Ortonville, and we urge all people to join in this special observance. Signed this 27th day of August 2018. Sorry. I did you do that?
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, is that my copy? The only thing I'll say in addition to that is that I had Harrison Homes. Yeah. They pumped my system a year ago. They did a very nice job. They were very knowledgeable. Any question I had, they were very helpful. They also offer a opportunity for those of us who have had to historically dig up the access to the tank. What they'll offer you is about a 24-inch corrugated riser that they will use instead of the digging up your yard every time. So you can put this riser in, and it'll raise it up to the level of the grass. And then it's a cover and a lid. You just open and shut that lid. So you don't have to be there to have it happen. You don't have to open up and dig up your yard anymore. So it's a nice, I did take advantage of that. So now they have easy access. It's actually less expensive too, because they don't, if it's so deep below the ground, they're going to charge you to dig it up. So.
And for those do-it-yourselfers who do not have weak stomachs, I did install one myself, and it was fairly easy to install.
The riser?
The riser, yeah. It just takes some measuring to make sure you have the right height coming to ground level for them.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on, new business 11D, pedestrian crosswalk warning devices. And this, again, we're talking about the curve on the way to the Harvey Swanson Elementary School on South Street, the 90-degree curve. I did email a demonstration video from the crossing in Davison. Did that get sent out to the rest of the council?
No, I don't think so.
It's a strobe light configuration on both sides of the road that you cannot miss. And when somebody approaches the intersection, they push the button. And then the strobe lights come on, and the stop signs are there, but they're accentuated more than just what we have now. And so it's a much more visual, I think more effective type of apparatus. So anything you want to add?
Yeah, I received 2 quotes. I'm still waiting for 2 more quotes. However, they must be busy, because it's amazing how when you want to spend money, sometimes people don't get back with you in a hurry. But I'm waiting for 2 more quotes, and they're coming in at about $7,500, the first 2 quotes. They're solar powered. We did a solar analysis of the area to make sure that we could in fact install these signs. Both the companies did that, and we can install them there. I didn't put a lot of bells and whistles on it. It is a simple, it's solar driven. You walk up as a pedestrian, you push the button, and it's like a rectangular box, and it has strobe lights that flash, so to warn people that they're required to stop. So
Right underneath the stop sign?
Right underneath the crosswalk sign. So, and what I'm looking for is authorization to go out and purchase the set, and they're looking for $8,000 roughly.
I'd like to make a motion to authorize the village manager to spend up to or not to exceed $8,000 to install flashing pedestrian beacons at the school crossing on South Street at the footbridge.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Eschman, supported by Councilman Skornica. Further discussion, questions?
Bill, do you happen to know the life expectancy of the solar panels?
They said 10 years. So that's and I can't remember the warranty on it. I can send out to the council what the warranty is for parts and labor.
So there's roughly a 10-year.
It's supposed to be at least 10 years.
It's very important.
Seems like the smaller, because the larger ones we have up in Lapeer is 25 years, so I will be bugging them about that.
Well, at that curve, you have to slow down.
Yeah.
There's also maybe an option that we could do, you know, the cones that you can put in the middle there on the center line, you know, the yield to pedestrians or stop pedestrians that are in the crosswalk, something like that. Maybe that, you know, that's inexpensive, and maybe you could put that even other places to put, you know, on that,
They do that in downtown Clarksville.
right, and it's right there, yeah.
Smack
You put it right there in the middle of the road, and you're gonna see it, so I think maybe something like that we could get, that would be inexpensive too, in conjunction with everything else that we have coming up.
Any other questions? Hearing none, roll call vote, please. Liz?
Sleva,
Yes.
Wills,
Yes.
Rice,
Yes.
Butsu,
Yes.
Eschman,
Yes.
Skornica.
Yes.
Motion is passed. Do you have a goal to try and get that, can it be done by school?
No.
No?
No, they start next Monday. So it's probably about,
Holiday.
probably 3 to 4 weeks delivery, and then probably another couple of days to, what we are gonna do is, just to try to raise awareness in school next week, is we're gonna relocate at least one of the speed signs down by the bridge going into the curb, so as you're coming into the village,
Inward bound?
inward bound, it'll flash them and slow them down there until we can get it up, so we wanna move it over there. I'd like to move them both over there. The problem is right now, because of the parking outbound on South Street, there's no good place to put a speed limit sign, you know, so we may have to talk at some point in time about another traffic calming device, which would be taking away some of those parking spaces on South Street, putting some traffic calming pedestrian, or not pedestrian, excuse me, green islands or something, cleaning back some of the, you know, just take the blacktop out and put grass and curb back in there so that we can, you know, put up some signs, put up the speed limit sign or something before you get down there. Because there's really nothing on the outbound side from almost downtown all the way to the curb.
How many parking spots would you anticipate we would lose?
If doing one of those, you could do something as small as just doing a couple or one parking spot, really, to put a green space in, you know. If I had my way, I would lose them all, to be honest with you, to take it all the way from, make it green space and take away the parking on South Street all the way from the curve all the way to about where well, we're in the consignment shop. Just because I think that they say that when you talk about traffic calming, the narrower the road, the slower people tend to go. So if you take that away from a, you know, a wide open space where there's not room to pass people and stuff like that, you can slow people down. You can put things in like they call them pedestrian bubbles. You see, like down in Clarkston, if you look where they got the sidewalks, they have parking on the side, but they bring out those bubbles, like with the sidewalk, to where it gets real narrow where the pedestrians cross. It does two things. Number one, it tends to slow people down, and the other thing, it's less face that the people are in the road. So instead of going, what is it, how wide's the road, you know?
30 feet.
30 feet, you know, you cut it down to 20 or something, you know? So if you're going through like a narrow tunnel, you tend to slow down a little bit, you know?
So the streets committee is gonna be, subcommittee's gonna be reviewing that,
Yeah,
coming back with a recommendation.
yeah.
And it's nice to have that parking, but it's very hard to see the kids with those cars there, with all of those houses, you know, you can't pull in and out of those driveways because when the kids are walking, you know, back and forth.
And right now, that's the varsity baseball field over the footbridge, and
Mhm.
just past that, so you get a lot of fans that'll park right on South Street, all the way up and down.
And part of what I've done in this, with this crossways too, is I got a hold of Dr. Outlaw, and currently the town or the school district does not have a smart or a safe routes to school committee. And that has to be driven by the school district. So I've asked them to see if we can initiate that. So Dr. Outlaw's supposed to get back with me on that, so we can, and the good news about that is there's grants available for anywhere between $8,000 and $250,000, you know, so there's, you know, a good ton of money that could help us with some of our traffic calming, you know, so we're gonna pursue that.
Good. Okay, so, we voted on that already? On D?
Yep.
Okay, item E, budget adjustments.
There's two budget adjustments. As I told you, I promised you this year that we're gonna do things differently. We're gonna, as we find things that need to be corrected and that, we're gonna do them as they occur so that we're not doing a whole bunch of them at the end of the year and stuff. And we have two budget adjustments. One is real current. We need to make the one adjustment for $14,000 to pay for the $6,000 signs that we implemented, and the other one, the $8,000 crosswalk, the warning system that we just did. And then the other budget adjustment is very simply, and I'll lay claim to the error on this, is that when we did the budget, when we did the matching funds for the crack ceiling program, instead of putting $5,000 in, I should have put $9,000 in, because eventually you get that $5,000 back, but in order to make your books right, I should have put the $4,000 extra in, so that it says, okay, I'm gonna spend $9,000, but I'm gonna get $5,000 back. What we did is I said I put in $5,000, and I'm gonna get $5,000 back, and it should have been, it's a 50% grant, so that was my error. So I need a budget adjustment of $4,000 to correct that. So the first one is the 14, the second one is the $4,000 to correct the budget.
So again, we're not changing the overall budget, we're just moving it from a couple different line items to other line items.
Correct.
Okay. So we don't need a roll call vote then, because the expenditures have already been approved. Okay, we still need motions. So,
I'd like to make a motion to approve a budget adjustment in the amount of $14,000 from Major Street Equity, line item 202-000-699.201 to Major Street Signs, line item 02-450-746, period 000 as presented.
Support.
I know it's on that line item, the first two is missing, it should be 202.
Okay, and I was gonna ask you before I made the motion, if those numbers were right based on, because I'm just going by what's here, but okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
I'm sorry, which
and at the very end,
So it should be 202.
Oh,
Yeah.
202 rather than
Yeah.
02. Okay, duly noted. Okay, we have motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Eschman. Any further questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is passed. Same thing here, we're moving another $4,000. So that's gonna give us our total of 18 that you see up above that discussion. So 14 from the previous motion, 4,000 for this. I'll move on that. Well, I move to approve the budget adjustment amount of $4,000 for major street equity, line item 202, 000, 699.201, two major streets, special projects / maintenance, line item 202-450-745.010 as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Wills, supported by Councilman Skornica. As read, any other discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Where it says to major streets and special projects maintenance, a couple of years ago, we renamed the Mill Street Hill project a special project. Is this the same line item as that? This is something that's totally separate then, right? This is not the Mill Street projects, we actually gave that, okay. I just want to be sure that's not getting commingled with something else.
All those in favor of the motion as read and supported, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Item F, the Cedar Street, Schoolhouse Street paving project. We have a change order approval.
Yeah, that's the first one. It's just equalizing the books. Pretty much, you know, I think I sent out to everybody a note saying that we're not complete, but based upon the work that was found while they were working out there, there are certain things. And if you look at the back of your report that I sent out, this kind of thing over here will show you the kind of balancing versus what they did. The biggest item was less money in paving. So paving came out about $16,000 cheaper than we thought. There's ups and downs within the whole thing, but the bottom line is that the project came in $16,215 under budget. So what I need is a change order approval in order to accept the changes that were from the original plan.
So today, you and I talked about some drainage issues that have come up since the last couple of rains after the project was complete.
Correct. Well, the
Is
project's not
that-
complete till the punch list is totally done.
Right.
And we're reserving close to $10,000 till the punch list is done. I did get it covered some drainage issues on Schoolhouse Street, some drainage issues on the corner of Cedar and Ball. There's some grass that did get planted appropriately. So, and then I was gonna talk about that in the next one.
Oh, okay, well,
So
that's okay.
we're holding back roughly 9,000, between 9 and 10 grand to make sure that all the items on the punch list are complete.
So what, we need to do this on change orders as they come.
The change order just kind of sets the pot rate to say that here's what we thought the project would originally cost. These are the changes that occurred in here. So like the $16,000 less for paving, you know. We swapped some sidewalks, some curb work and stuff, and there was certain, you know, this is minutia for you guys, but there was some work that we could do better than them, so we did it and swapped it off for another.
Yeah, we traded over on the end of Church Street.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they did a 20-foot section of sidewalk on Church curb, and we did some sidewalk and stuff over in the other job, so.
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 1 from TG Price LLC for the Cedar Street Schoolhouse paving project as presented.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Skornica, supported by Councilman Watsu. Other questions, comments? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried.
Now, the next item is just simply, they have completed, they've asked the majority of the project, so and this is typical that you pay, make a first payment and withhold for the punch list, so, obviously, the whole project was prior approved in the budget, but this is just simply approving the first payment of $175,407.72.
I'll make a motion to approve contractor's application for payment number 1 from TG Prize LLC for the Cedar Street Schoolhouse paving project in the amount of $175,407.72.
Support.
Motion by Councilman Skornicka, supported by Councilman Sliwa. Further questions? On the motion as read. Again, this is previously approved, so we'll just entertain a standard vote. All those in favor of the motion as read, please say aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
The next one is simply, for lack of a better term, is a pre-approval, because I would think that they would have this work done prior to the next council meeting, so, plus it also allows us to start the process of getting our money back, because if you recall, we write the check for the entire amount, roughly $200,000, and then we have to wait for the state to pay us back our $100,000, so the quicker we can get all this stuff approved, get the paperwork rolled into the state, then show that you guys have approved all the payments, then we can get it submitted and get our money back, so we're not waiting for so that's why we'd like to pre-approve this. Once this is the punch list that we just talked about, that we won't pay this unless the punch list is complete.
I make a motion to approve payment number 2 in the amount of $9,232, once all open items are clear.
Support. Motion by Councilman Bryce, supported by Councilman Wills. Again, the motion reads in the amount of $9232.00, once and upon all open items, once they're cleared. That's not before. Okay. Further questions, comments? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Item G.
See, Oakland County sent out a notice that they are offering an accelerated tax foreclosure process, but in order to take advantage of that, you must approve the resolution that was provided. Let me emphasize the fact that this is not a foreclosure process for normal people going through a normal foreclosure. It is only a foreclosure process. The only thing that applies to is if somebody abandons the property, so that does not become, theoretically, if somebody had a house here in the village and they just walked away, and all of a sudden that became like a crack den or something, or a safety hazard, you would want to get that foreclosure process accelerated as quick as possible. So this does not apply, like I said, to people who are fighting to stay in their homes. It's those people who have abandoned property. The county will help us get through the foreclosure process and taxes quicker.
This helps expedite that process.
Correct.
By having this resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to approve resolution number 2018-0827, a declaration of accelerated forfeiture of abandoned property is allowed by the Certification of Abandoned Property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act 132 of 1999.
Support.
Questions? Comments?
I just wanted to make a comment. I know you said, I'd like to jump off that, the important thing to realize is that this is specifically for abandoned properties. All of us are concerned that families do get to keep their home, and I love that he states that specifically in there, that that is our goal, is, you know, that people stay in their home, and I don't want anybody to misunderstand.
All those in favor of the motion as read, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. So in keeping with my prior reading of the resolution, I'll read this resolution. Oh, that's the other proclamation. Declaration of accelerated forfeiture of abandoned property, resolution number 2018-0827. Whereas the governing body of the local unit of government determines that parcels of abandoned tax delinquent property exist. Whereas abandoned tax delinquent property contribute to crime, blight, and decay within the local unit of government. And whereas the certification of tax delinquent abandoned property as certified abandoned property will result in the accelerated forfeiture and foreclosure of certified abandoned property under the General Property Tax Act, and return abandoned property to productive use more rapidly, thereby reducing crime, blight, and decay within the local unit of government. Therefore, the local unit of government hereby notifies residents and owners of property within the local unit of government that abandoned tax delinquent property will be identified and inspected and may be certified as certified abandoned property under the Certification of Abandoned Property for Accelerated Forfeiture Act, and subject to accelerated forfeiture and foreclosure under the General Property Tax Act. So this has been approved, and this proclamation is effective today, August 27th, 2018. Liz, you're going to have both of these available for me to sign?
You only have to sign the proclamation.
Okay, well.
Yes, it's
the
available.
Prior one, too.
Yes,
The one we had earlier in the
it
agenda.
is available.
Okay. Or the septic, smart septic.
Yeah.
Okay. Item H, looks like we have discussion on,
Just,
Rules
I
and
we can't
procedure.
even, I can't even remember what generated the initial discussion, to be honest, and maybe Liz could help, but as we were walking through some subject somebody had asked for regarding rules and regulations and stuff, we stumbled across the fact that, and I did verify this with the attorney, that the village under General Law 65-5 is required to adopt rules of its rules of procedure for general law village councils. Oddly enough, MML also provided, and I know that you guys had had some discussions
almost 2 years ago.
almost 2 years ago or something on this. Sometimes best thing to kind of keep things simple in my mind. And Trustee Sleva had pointed me to Appendix 4 of that same thing, and I can share that with other village council members that would. It's pretty simple. It's several pages. It's kind of fill in the blank type thing. You can kind of twist it, bend it to your own rules. Or not own rules, excuse me. You understand what I mean?
Own procedure.
Customize it a little bit. My thing for putting it on the council today simply, or putting it on the agenda today, was simply to get some direction on how you folks would like to go with this. Do you want to form a subcommittee? Do you want to have a workshop? Do you want to have me take a stab at providing something for you, and then we can go off from there? I offered to get with Trustee Sleva, because she's real good at doing this type of stuff. I kind of wanted to
We have our strengths and our weaknesses.
I kind of wanted to tap her to see if maybe her and I, if you wanted a small subcommittee, take a run at this thing or something, or whoever wants to do it. I'm just looking for some direction.
I think whatever direction we do take is that we follow as close to the general law of the village officials under what Michigan legislator, right? So there is the general law. So typically we followed two directions, Robert's rules as the conduct of the meeting and how we run the meeting and how the agenda is set up. So we followed those in the past, and then we've also followed through general law of the village handbook. So whatever we come up with, rather than reinventing the wheel, it should be as close to the village law general handbook as possible. So whatever we do come up with, whether it be a committee, whether it be you with trustees Corner or Saliba, or a special committee, I think it's important that we follow as close to the general law rule of the village handbook as possible.
Right, otherwise, you know, my concern would be, it's like then our source of truth gets tainted. You know, we're looking at Robert's rules here, we're looking at general law, oh no, we have an ordinance or resolution, we gotta check that, or it's in our bylaws, we gotta check that, and then having a rule of procedure. So to keep it as uncomplicated, just so our source of truth remains truly our source.
So over the last year and a half, we've had several instances where there's been times when the proper procedure and the rules were not known and were probably not followed. And so the general village law dating back to 1895 has needed to be tweaked. And I brought this up 2 years ago. And so there is a need to bring this information into the 21st century. Now, does it have to be complicated? No. The MML publishes documentations and examples, and what we looked at the year and a half ago or so was Isabella, whatever it was. What was the name of that? Lake Isabella community. That's a small town, and what they had put together, but it was put forth by the Michigan Municipal League as a sample, a model to emulate. And so, you know, the general village law is silent in certain topics, and when it's silent in certain topics, we need to have our own rules and regs to fall back on. And again, Robert's rules has a place, but sometimes it's lacking as well. So this is probably a good move. And so, subcommittee, thoughts, comments?
I'm fine with either doing, I'm fine with having Bill do it, a subcommittee do it, or having a workshop. I'm fine with any one of the options.
I think it could be done in one workshop. You know, it's the sample rules of procedure. It's in Appendix 4, pages 102 through 108 of the Handbook for General Village Law Officials. But I think it could be done in one workshop, and that way everybody could participate in it.
Yeah, we're not talking about rewriting the whole.
No,
handbook.
no, we're not talking about reinventing the wheel.
Just identifying a couple items that maybe haven't been identified, such as how we run a meeting from an agenda perspective. But as each incoming elected village president comes in, he or she may tweak that agenda, right?
Exactly.
So it's not necessarily etched in stone as to how the meetings are run, but just like you, when you first came in, Wayne, you tweaked the agenda as to where you wanted certain things to fit. So we don't want to make sure whatever we come up with, our hands aren't tied for the next incoming
Exactly.
village president.
Exactly.
We also need to know who we should call, and how we should inform people if we're not going to be at the meeting.
Yeah.
So that's another thing that would be, that is addressed in this document.
Exactly.
This sample document.
And I've talked with yourself and with Councilman Eschman about not having notification, and especially when there's more than one absentee. Like tonight, it's not an issue because you've still got 6 members, but when you have 3 or potentially 4 members gone on vacation in the middle of summertime, then we we would really, really need to have and appreciate more advance notice so that we don't, if we have to cancel the meeting, we can cancel it without having to obligate the OTV people and our own staff to be here, or the press or something like that, so it's,
And or just move it too. I mean, okay, if canceling it is warranted, but sometimes you may want to move it up a week or move back a week. I mean, if it was warranted, but sure, understood.
okay. So, workshop would be probably a good idea to get it over and done with.
I think a
Well, we just gotta hammer it out
suggestion,
later anyway, so.
We have a date that,
I think a suggestion to speed that up would be that we all look at it. We all make the suggested changes. It's all put in one document and everything is listed, and then you sit down at the workshop and you see what the options are for those changes. And it's all in one place. So it could be color coded, or it could have
Yeah,
a letter
I'll
next
send
to it
a-
or a number next to it, and where each suggestion's made, and you look at that area and it's all in one.
so what about a date?
I'll clip this and send it out and make sure, you know, it's just this, so you don't bury the whole thing, and I'll make it. I say hi. Liz will help me, I hope. So put it in Word or whatever, so you guys can tweak it up a little bit and get back.
So we have available schedule time coming up, September or October. Thoughts? Have your calendars in? Talking about an evening, we're talking about a Saturday afternoon? You don't need to go to football games.
Partially evenings.
I would say evenings rather than weekends.
Okay. Keep it on a, keep it on a Monday night? Keep it on a Monday?
We do
Are there any?
second Monday of the month.
Is it second Monday of September?
I think that's screaming pretty quick. Why don't we do the 8th?
Second Monday of October.
That'll give us time to gather everybody's ideas and thoughts there.
October 8th. Does that work for me? Anybody else?
Sounds good.
Yeah,
And
your
then, that'd be
calendar's
7
available?
PM?
You have your, that's a Monday night.
Yeah, it's like 7 PM or something?
Sure.
Or it could be a little bit earlier, perhaps.
It's Columbus Day. Are we off that day? Do we work that day?
No.
No. We're-
Yes, you do work, or no, you do?
Yes, we're open.
You do
We
work.
can let us stay.
Aren't we?
We are open.
We
Yeah.
are, okay, do.
It's also Indigenous.
Indigenous what?
Indigenous Peoples' Day. Okay.
All right, October 8th, Monday, 7 PM.
Okay.
In the village office?
Excellent. Okay, item I.
When we were going through this same,
This is the
same thing.
This is the cracks thing too. So
Yeah,
it's-
this is it. We haven't done anything wrong, anything like that, but just when you turn to 65.3 of general law regarding village councils, and I'll read and quote, on the second Monday in April of each year, or as soon thereafter as possible, the council shall appoint one of their number, president pro tem of the council. And then talk about what happened. The person with the longest
tenure thereafter.
tenure service takes over if both president pro tem is gone. So technically, I couldn't find where we had gone through the formalized process of reappointing the president pro tem every year in April, so we just have to clean that up going forward.
So I'd like to comment to that. So under the village law handbook, item number 62.6, appointment officers' terms, all right? Except for an officer appointed to fill a vacancy in elective office, an appointed village officer holds the office for 2 years after the date of the appointment or until the village's next regular election, whichever is earlier, and until the officer's successor is appointed and qualified unless a different term of the office is prescribed in this act, in an ordinance authorized by this act, or in the ordinance or resolution creating the office. An officer appointed to fill the vacancy in an elective office shall hold the office until the next regular village election, and until his or her successor is elected and qualified. An officer appointed to fill the vacancy in an appointed office shall hold the office until his or her successor is appointed and qualified.
So does that address or speak to an elected person?
Yeah, so in the case of the village manager, who is whose terms is every 2 years, the first meeting following the the election of the village manager, that is when the appointments
The
are
village
made.
manager is not elected.
I'm sorry, the village president, excuse me.
Yeah. So, okay. Okay. So that speaks to elected individuals as opposed to.
No, appointed.
Well, when there's a vacancy, the person is appointed to fill a council seat. And we're not talking about filling a council seat. We're talking about the pro tem, which is an individual.
Appointed officer.
I think that's different.
And
I
used to
again,
inform
I
you
wasn't
of
calling
this.
for any action tonight, so I can bounce that off. What was the?
But then
what was the
also,
number?
under 65.3, Village Council President Pro Tem, on November 20th of each year or soon after that date is possible, the council shall appoint one of their numbered President Pro Tems of the council. In the absence of the President Pro Tem presides. So
Right,
it's like.
That's all you're doing is presiding over
Right,
when
but
I've
it's
been
not
absent,
me.
and
Right.
that's happened.
But it's appointed November 20th, so that.
There's no
20th, or
April.
as soon as possible thereafter.
Right. What was section, Bill, were you referring to? Does it-
65-3 general
Same with
law.
So we've got a clear conflict here.
Well, I
This
think
is
there's a
from general-
contradiction in state law
Yeah.
in what they've published in the handbook for general village law officials. Because I'm looking at page 17, section 2, roles and responsibilities, chapter 3, duties of village officials. And it says powers of the president pro tempore. Each year the village council appoints one of its members as president pro tempore. The appointment should be made on November 20th or as soon as possible
Which one is
thereafter.
that? Which one is that?
Page 17.
General,
General
section 2.
Well, that's
Okay,
page.
so, and again, there's.
So I'm hearing a conflict
I am too.
between state, I mean, the state of Michigan might have,
Might have done both.
I know.
Well, I know that we've never done anything in April. It's always, since I've been on council, it's always been for the 2 years for the President Pro Tem. And then
Well,
when
it
we do our.
hasn't, but it hasn't happened, period.
Right, we have, I was gonna
It
say,
hasn't
we
happened
have
since
not done it
2010,
every 2
that's the
years.
point. Not that it's made a big
Doesn't
issue
make
or
it-
anything,
No, it's not.
but it's,
Well,
there's no
but
record.
it could
of
be
it.
that-
And I think that's where our minutes, I have to really be, I mean, back 8 years ago, I think our minutes need to make sure that that's all reflected. I don't know, we weren't videotaping back then, but I know that we have done that in the past and some, you know, in fact, I remember doing it this past January when we were doing appointments for planning commission and streets and all that sort of thing.
No, I disagree.
So
Say, we could go back to
I
the
do
beginning.
remember you bringing the appointments up. It had to do with the new board coming on after the election. We went through all the appointments, and there was discussion about the council president pro tem. At that time, and at that time, it was decided that it would continue. I didn't hold this position for 4 years straight, without discussion.
Correct.
And
No, I'm sorry.
And since then, I did call past, because I've been on the council for 10 years, and I did call past council trustees, and they both commented that it's been appointed on the meeting following the election of the new president for council president.
Yeah, November 20th or as soon thereafter. But then again, what Bill's reading, you know,
It's there too.
you know, the state of Michigan, it sounds to me like the state of Michigan.
That's why I said, I wasn't asking for any action.
But April
We
doesn't
probably
even make
caught an
sense.
error.
Yeah, there's April. The only thing I have
For
found
some
is
reason-
April
for
was
some
an
reason-
example.
And again,
I saw only as an example was
I
April.
saw that as an example, and not as a.
yeah, but there it's specific, you know.
Yeah.
Well, the bottom line is that we don't need to spend any more time on this. We can get it corrected and
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
good take.
But it does
Okay,
sound
this
like
Not a
was
big issue.
published November of 2017, this was published in 1998, this is the current one.
This is an
Thank you.
Yeah.
normal.
Sorry, librarian and me.
You want to, you might want to
So
pitch
Bill,
that one.
yeah.
Well, let's see, hold on. No, go ahead. I mean,
But that's where the
I'm just gonna steal
discrepancies
this.
come,
Well, maybe
something
that's
has
what's
been
causing the
changed.
conflict then.
and that could.
Because I thought the state of Michigan goofed up.
Go to 65.3.
Maybe the published right there were.
So we'll get
I think
it
it's
resolved.
We'll get it.
It's not an issue. Other than a procedural one like we.
It's page 17.
But I like
Again
the
and again and again.
consistency of recording and catching up and being where we need to be with everything
Just gotta
and
use the right.
being sure we're all on the same. you know.
Exactly. Okay, unfinished business, item 12,
So thank you, Bill.
master plan.
Larry, did you want to give any update on the master plan?
I think so. Larry Hayden, currently on the planning commission. Liz, did you get those draft meeting minutes distributed to council?
Yes, I'll receive them.
Okay.
Want me to pull them up? Really?
If you guys want to look them, that'd be fine. I just wanted to say that we have discussed the master plan at the last meeting. We reviewed the,
Yeah.
I didn't bring mine with me, so.
Talking about a date?
No, just review the specifics of what we had covered with about master plan. Yeah, Mr. Jackson was there from McKenna, and we looked over the draft vision statements, and we reviewed that, had a lot of discussion about the vision statement. They were going to rework it, and I think I've seen since our last meeting that they came up with a revised vision plan. They were looking for feedback from the planning commission on, so that's in process. We also looked at the goals and objectives updates. We reviewed each of the goals and objectives that were listed in the whole presentation they gave. We gave input into them, and they took comments and adjustments, and then they're rewriting and reworking that and get us another copy of that sent out for us to review prior to finalizing those into the master plan. Let's see. Yeah, that was the goals and objectives we had. That was quite extensive amount of material we had to go through and discuss with the goals and objectives, and I think that we did a pretty thorough job of reviewing everything in there. And I think that we'll have to see what they come back to us and see if it's what the input is from the community that we want.
So when do you expect something for the village to be, so it took you a long time to go through all those goals and reasons. So when it comes to us, how long will we have to review it? How long, so if there are any questions, concerns over what's in it, how much time have you given, or will you be given to make any changes, given that there isn't a unanimous or I would say, a balanced approval, if you will, from council? So, I mean, I know there is no end date, right? I mean, certainly, there isn't, when you started this project, we need to have it done by this date, right? So,
Yes, I know that they did provide a timeline.
I think it says in the notes we're about 50%. In your
50-some percent.
Your draft,
I think we're
50% finished.
pretty much about 50% done now. The big part is going out there and collecting the input from the community. So we did all those things there. We had sent the survey notices out. We had also had the stakeholders meeting. We've had the recent open house where all the community came in, got their feedback. That's what we're doing now, is we're kind of like taking all that stuff, it's getting digested, it's getting formatted in relation to the old master plan, what was in that, and the new input, and kind of merging that together to combine them into an update for the new master plan that they're working on. I think that they had a time frame somewhere with
October, November
November,
to bring it
yeah.
to.
Yeah, so I think they're looking at October, November. What we can do is I'll bring this up at the next planning commission and see if you guys really want something, to get some kind of a draft prior to that. I'll bring that up next planning commission meeting, but that's decided in the council. I think also anybody who wants to attend the meetings is always welcome to attend too. You know, they're all open to the public as well as for anybody on the council or any other public body. I'll check and see if they have something, if they, I'll have to see what we have at the next meeting, and we'll see if we can get that distributed to you guys once we review it in some kind of draft format to get your feedback also on it.
So, again, I've expressed my obvious concern early on, very early on in the process, where the actual development of that master plan, you've gotten very little input from council other than the workshop that you had, where we did roundtables and set people and kind of, but that was, very, very, very small compared to the size of this master plan, right? So up until that, there's been no invite from the planning commission that says, okay, you've got the governing body here, it's going to be asked to approve this master plan, but other than that one workshop, we haven't been included in any of the decisions as to what's going to go into that plan. So that concerns me when it's dropped on our table to review. There may be some things that we don't like, I don't know. But that's why I'm requesting, if there's something that we can review ahead of time to help mold that or bring consensus, or if there are red flags, maybe you can flush them out,
Can I jump in real quick? I know you had said it took us some time to go through that. It's 24 pages, it took us an hour and a half. When you say some time, it was a lot of thought and a lot of deliberation. It was not days or weeks or months. It was an hour and a half to go over the 24 pages. The other thing is the reflection of the community was very similar to what we already had as a master plan to build upon. So what we were doing was tweaking events, not recreating the wheel. Am I wrong in stating those things? So it's not some big new revelation that is coming up. It's consistent with what the community has said they want, continue to want, and asked for.
So if that's the case, then you should have something relatively available for us to review then from a draft perspective.
I think we should be able to have something like
Perfect.
that. I would like to emphasize though that, one of the main purposes in what we're doing with this is primarily to go out there and try to make sure we get the good, accurate input from the community and get involvement from the community. And, like I said, our meetings are always open to the public. We have said in the past, anybody's welcome to attend. I will say this is that when we were at when I saw the results, unfortunately, I was not able to make the open house with the public that I had other commitments on that day. But I did notice when I was reviewing the attendance that there were a number of people from both council, the village council, as well as DDA, as well as Brandon Township officials that also came and participated in that event. So I know that there was feedback gathered at that event from the council too, not just at the one workshop that we had. So, all of those events is opportunities for anybody to participate, but our primary focus is to ensure that we capture the community's feedback and make sure that that is appropriately represented in the master plan. I understand your concerns, and we definitely take those seriously too, and that's why we invite and welcome any comments from councils, and would love you to come out and participate. And I will say this too, though, it's from what Tanya said. Besides the hour and a half or so that we spend in those meetings, I probably spend several hours reviewing all that material prior to those meetings too, because that's a big part too. You got to document, 24 pages long. You can't just come into a cold in the meeting and open it up and expect to be able to start talk intelligently on it. So all of us put a lot of hours ahead of time preparing for that. And then when we get in those discussions, we're basically trying to tweak and fine tune and pull out those, as you said, the blocking points or any discrepancies or things like that, and try to resolve those types of things in our discussions with them at that point.
Thank you.
I do have a question. If we could just get clarification, based on your meeting minutes, which I think these were approved, already. These are your August, oh no, they haven't been approved yet.
Yeah, we wanted to get the draft to you prior to this meeting.
Right.
We haven't had our next meeting, so we haven't approved them yet, but we did want to make sure you had the draft.
No, and I appreciate that, but one of the things that's not jiving with our minutes that we just approved is your your seat term ending. According to the draft minutes of the Planning Commission, it states that you requested Manager Sprague to advertise the open Planning Commission seat term ending June 1 of 2020. contrary to what we have in our notes that says that the term ending and what we approved was June 30th, 2020. So we need to find out what is the correct date. Something is wrong.
I would have to turn to Bill.
Okay, so just a note that in your draft planning commission meetings, that date is wrong.
Okay, moving on. Thank you, Larry. Item 12B, we've already discussed this. We don't need to discuss anymore, do we?
No, we're good shape.
I'd like to ask, so I believe the additional 2 signs that I've seen, witnessed, do in fact slow the traffic down. What is going to be the rotation where it takes opposite sides? So right now, you have incoming vehicles coming into town, but likewise, there are vehicles exiting town a lot faster. So are you going to flip that to the other side too, or what is the rotation going to be?
We haven't fully defined the rotation yet, other than the fact that we're gonna try to leave them in a position like 2 weeks at a time, because that coincides, it's not magic. You gotta charge the batteries every 2 weeks. So right now, they took 1 battery out of each and they're charging it, they'll take the next battery out. We're gonna now do the hard part, pull the data off, so we have our report from those 2 locations. Then we'll rotate another 2 weeks we picked out South Street. I'm open to suggestions on where the other one goes.
Why wouldn't we just flip them to compare incoming versus outgoing on traffic flow for those streets and then move on to whatever other?
I just wanted to get South Street going into that crosswalk, to try to slow them down, the school's starting up and being new and all that stuff. So if I could put them on both sides of South Streets, that's where they'd be, right now, just to try to keep kids safe.
Again, I think the street subcommittee would be the people that would be determining that moving forward.
And
It is a good point, because, it'd be nice to get a good readout in both directions.
But one fun fact is when you live right there and you watch everybody stop to watch their number go down to 0 and then start up again, or see how fast they can go till they get to it and then slow down. And so the data is going to be very interesting because people enjoy playing with it.
Yeah, it takes your
Or the people who turn right at it and then pull back out and then watch I'm watching people do it every day.
Anybody
They're having fun.
Anybody throwing pitches out in front of you yet?
Wait till we start taking the pictures.
Right. So
For me, I have to admit, it makes me conscious of the speed that I'm driving. I look down, I look at it.
Yeah, me
So
too.
it does work.
Yeah, I think so. Okay. Again, Planning Commission open seat. This has been published or it has not been published?
Has been published.
It has?
It's in the newspaper and it is on the websites.
As a
Website was on, 2 days after the planning commission meeting, and it went in the paper the following, this past Saturday.
8/16.
And there's been any interest at all?
None, we have not received anything yet.
what was the date on that so that they could have any potential kick by the next planning commission meeting? Do we have a date?
We left it open.
Left it open, yeah, okay.
Okay, item D, CDBG program year 2017 update.
Can we just conclude with saying that then, I'm still back up at 12C, Planning Commission open seat. So if a person doesn't respond to the advertisement, they can't be considered?
There's no end date. They're still
As long as
able.
it's open, it's open.
It's still open.
But I'm just saying, if a person doesn't respond, we wouldn't be able to consider them.
Oh, no, that's not what it says.
Okay.
It's a solicitation for people that are interested.
Okay.
To make it
Where do you
available to
get
the
it out?
open for anybody else that was,
Yeah, it's.
had any interest to do it
Yeah.
before we made it open.
Okay,
We're
I
taking-
understand now.
We're taking any.
Like I said, I wasn't here at that meeting.
Okay.
I'm having a hard time catching up with that particular issue. And excuse me for the
Okay,
fact
no
that
problem.
I'm confused.
No problem. Okay, now, CDBG program year 2017 update. Is it information only, or, we don't need to discuss this further?
Unless you have questions, Liz.
Any questions? Okay. Okay, village manager's report.
Just a quick update, dumpster update. We are now down from 3 to 2 who have not contacted the village office. And we've made several attempts, and basically we said in the last attempt, if we hadn't heard from the property owners, that we would be sending them a citation. And so I have, one came in Friday. So I've got 2, I'm trying to find phone numbers for the folks to see if, I hate sending out citations, but gosh, we haven't been thumping heads or anything on this. We're just asking them to come up and tell us what their plan is, So we've got 2 more locations to hunt down. Everybody else is working with us, and we're working through the issues.
Okay.
The chicken update, all the chicken owners that we're aware of have filled out permits, and my plan is to start going out and paying visits this week to follow up on them. There's a total of 5. There were 9 initially. 2 of those folks have moved out of the village. There's 2 that have basically got rid of their chickens. So there's only 5. Ironically, I did have 1 person come in and pick up a permit for chickens with their child, and I think maybe they decided on cats instead of chickens or dogs or something, because they were going to go that direction. But and Mom said that she would get back to me, and I haven't seen her yet. So, and that was the first new one.
So, of the permits that I assume somebody's gonna come in, they're gonna give you a permit, they're gonna give you a sketch of their yard, here's the location of my coop, it does comply with the ordinance. You verify to comply with, or you have not yet?
No, I have not yet. I'm going out physically, pay visits. I've got the little wheel in my truck to where I've got to wheel off the distances and check. And, we've asked the people, because we've asked the people to be honest with us and not play games related. The general consensus was we weren't going to slaughter chickens or whatever. We were going to tell people that, they can't have any more until they get down to the appropriate number.
So did they provide you a total number at the time?
They provided total number at the time.
And what was the highest number of chickens one resident had?
I can't remember, it's like 9 or 9, I think. Don't quote me on that, I don't have it in front of me, but I think it was 9. I may be off.
Has anybody been rejected yet?
No, because they've just submitted their permits, and I haven't gone out and
Okay.
checked them yet, so I need to get out and check them.
Do you think you'll be able to have that done this week? Just because if they submitted their permits back, looks like May 2nd or July 19th, that we could, make sure that that's all done, so that they have, so that's not outstanding anymore? Do you think you'll be able to get to those houses this week?
I want to make phone calls, because
Oh.
you have to give, you have to tell them you're coming. You can't just show up in the back and start walking around. So it's my goal to try to get as many done as I can this week. Hopefully people respond. It took 4 or 5 months to get everybody in, and yeah, we're not gonna take 4 or 5 months to get out there, but it's my goal. I'd like to get it done in the next 2 weeks, just to get it behind us, so if they have issues, they can start addressing them.
Next meeting, could you just bring a copy of the permit, the chicken permit? I never saw it, I don't know if anybody else did, but just so we can see what's on there. So
I'll shoot it out to everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if anybody is going to, we'll just say that they need to make some improvements, or they're not quite ready to be completely accepted. I would like to know the reason, if there's an issue there.
Okay.
Because I'm concerned about that.
Okay, item C.
We've already really talked about it. that's the $9,200. Item 4 is the new phone system, and I know I notified you folks, and this was in the budget, but we will basically, by installing this new phone system, and I'll call them tomorrow unless somebody has an objection, it'll cost us $1,600 to buy the phone equipment and the programming. It's like $300 worth of programming, but it'll take the whole village down, including DDA, to a flat rate of $90 a month. That includes all taxes, everything. So basically, it is slightly under a year payback for the investment. Voice over internet system, it has some real interesting features that if I'm out driving around the village and you want to talk to me, and you call the village office, I can set my phone to forward to my cell phone to where, you know, I can still do business while I'm driving around the village without, you know, having to track me down and stuff. And there's all sorts of neat features on it that hopefully that we can program. Probably about 50% of our calls currently right now is for Brandon Township, and we have to refer them to. We're hoping to be able to program the phones to where we
Send it right on the phone.
you know.
Where's the line item coming from, or this $1,600 coming from? What line item?
Trying to remember now.
Office.
It was the
Phone is phone, and it would be new equipment, so it's gonna be 101-266-977.
Do we have enough in there to cover it?
I thought I put it in, I thought I actually put it in the phone bill account because.
Oh,
the
you
amount of-
did?
Yeah.
Oh.
Because the phone bill, we were saving enough money
It fits.
based on that it fits in the
The
budget.
return on investment.
You know, as long as I do it quick, if I keep paying. And our average phone bill right now, average phone bill for the last 2 years has been $200. And some has been more, you know, some slightly less.
Excellent, excellent.
So I have one question then. The conference room doesn't have a tripod phone dial-in service in the conference room, and often, you know, when, whether it be special committees or whatever, you dial in, we use our cell phones, and it's not really that clear. Does this include a conference room phone to put on that table?
It does not include a conference room phone to put on the table, but what you have the ability to do is unplug your phone and plug it in the jack in the wall there, a data line in the wall, and you'll be able to talk and do a conference call through
From the
my
phone.
phone.
So you just hand carry it over and plug it in?
That's what we had to do the last time.
Right.
All right.
It works. It works, but.
I mean, I looked at it, but it's like $300 or something like that for one of them.
Just for the equipment?
Yeah, but we don't use them. So
Okay.
there is a portable phone in there that we'll be able to take around the office.
That's a good idea.
That, you know, if you're back by the copy machine and your phone rings, you'll be able to pick it up there. Or if it's up front and someone's at the desk, you'll be able to hit it and say, oh, you need to talk to so-and-so here, you know.
Okay, Old Mill Paint?
Yep, I got the other quote back the last time we were in here. You remember it was $3,200. Got another quote in from the guy, it was $2,100. Guy's highly recommended. Bob has brought this guy forward.
Bob Oxwell?
Bob Oxwell. Guy's out of Pontiac, and came in at he was like $2,100, and in addition to doing that south wall, he's also going to go around. He's really interested in getting work in the village, so he's going to go around and touch up some spots, you know.
And the exterior?
On the exterior.
I know, we just did it.
We paid a lot of money for that.
The problem with old wood, old site is that you gotta do it all the time.
Well,
Or you got a tree
they're
that's
stripping this
directly
down and they're putting a special primer layer on
Some of
all
the-
bare
some of the
spots
previous
that doesn't
contractor.
lift up.
Yeah.
Right, but that wasn't that long ago, was it? I mean, I know time flies, but it wasn't, could we just pull that and see what
4
their
years ago,
warranty
maybe?
was? Just to see if, you know, what type of a warranty they used for that, for paint wise?
Yeah, we had Sherwin-Williams out.
Uh-oh, okay.
And,
They're pretty good.
Well, I mean, because
Because
it
it is
wasn't
pretty
that long
good
ago,
paint.
and there might be something that there was a paint warranty on, just to check that out before we
What's the name
invest
what's the name
in.
of that contractor?
Wayne's right on that.
Oh,
Old
yeah,
houses.
let's just
old
strip it
boys have
out.
to do it.
But I mean, it seems like she'll last longer than 4
I know
years.
TBG has an exterior paint that's lifetime warranty. Just saying,
And
we already paid for it.
You, what's
You
what's
do
the
get
contractor-
paid for it.
the contractor's name?
Can't remember now.
Okay.
I'll have to shoot it.
Let us know, okay.
It's in our email when you send us the.
I know I sent it,
All right.
Well, yeah, check the old.
Okay, item F.
Item 6, I need some help from over here.
I am too. I'm on F2 there.
I know we did the walkthrough with 12 people. He came back today to do, put up some interim stakes and that. And that's all I got.
So I was out with him this afternoon, so was able to make it in. So I wanted to comment about my property. About 25 years ago, when my wife and I first moved in, we bought the home from a couple. We had a play structure, swing set, right in the same spot where ours is. Well, come to find out after the survey, half of the structure is on the property line. So 5 feet into the property line is one side of the structure, 5 feet on the other side of the property line is the other, on my side of it. So my wife and I, we staked it out, and we're gonna move that, but I gotta say, that plate swing, the swing set's been there for 25 years. We are gonna move it. When we found out that's the case, we're gonna take care of it. But in addition to that, I was able to walk further down the line, and there were some obvious stakes missing that Tom said he was gonna pursue getting up, that he did not have the specific coordinates and data to put those down, but he said in the very near future, he would put the additional stakes down.
Good,
Great.
okay, fair enough.
And then we could replace it with some permanent stakes, not just the little wooden ones with the little pink tie. I'm assuming the stake
Well,
with pink tie around or something that's a permanent stake.
The surveyor's not gonna do it,
We'll
but
have
he
to do
did
that.
recommend that the small, I would say 1/2 inch by inch stakes with the pink ribbons on them, they will deteriorate over time. A quick winter and the frost will push them around and they will be soon gone. So he recommends getting a post hole digger out there and putting some posts strategically along the line that is not gonna move, and we know, kid, and we have a good eyesight as to, that's what his recommendation is. Whether we follow through or how you want to look at that, it's up to council.
Well, it would be appropriate, the next item down here is on the signage, so that would be where you could put a post and have some signage.
But I think we spent the money on a survey. I think that we should definitely, replace those
Yeah.
temporaries with permanent stakes.
We should do it sooner rather than later, and that they won't
Well,
get lost.
my point is that where the temporaries are is where you put a permanent.
Oh, it's not.
Mhm.
Post with a permanent sign. Especially in certain areas, certain neighborhoods. Okay. Good enough. Then the sign, again, the sign for the park is,
The entrance sign, the last time we talked, we said we were gonna put that on hold until we determined what the look was for all the signs in the village.
they have a common signage throughout the
Yeah.
village.
Then the second, but the other one, the posting for no hunting, no vehicles, any of those kind of post signs that you wanna, the thou shalt nots or whatever. Do you want them installed along, like where these posts are and use them for
I would say yes.
use them for the signs or something? You guys,
No RVs, no motorized vehicles.
Are you talking disposable or permanent?
Permanent.
Because our permanent signs, we haven't designed, correct?
Well, we're talking about thou shalt not signs as opposed to an
no
entrance sign.
parking, no.
So,
But won't it have the same emblem as everything else and be in the same colors with the same design? I mean, wouldn't that be, it should be consistent,
So I've looked at other municipalities where they have designated wildlife preservation parks, where it does allow foot traffic into those parks, and it always cites the ordinance number on the bottom. So if certainly you're entering in at your own risk, but not that it's gonna prevent anything from bad happening, but it always cited per ordinance, so you're not having this, okay, you have the wildlife preservation parks, this huge gaudy sign with all these thou shalt nots. when in fact, anybody entering in there should understand what that ordinance is as to what's allowed and what's not allowed. So it minimizes the sign, so it is still, I would say, visually accepted, and you have to understand if you're gonna enter into someone else's property, you gotta know the rules through that ordinance number. That's my suggestion, to keep them nice, park-like, instead of some huge green sign, which I've seen the state use before, and just list everything under the country. We should just, I think we should include it and reference the ordinance number. But that's for council's consideration.
Yeah, there's an obvious entrance location, maybe one or two different points around the perimeter, but then there's the not so obvious that are on the back side of people's property lines. Those property line posts that I'm referring to, I'm thinking about a smaller sign that would have some thou shalt nots, not a big sign, back of people's property lines especially.
So they can't go back there and make it
So they
their
can't
own.
say, I didn't know. And, you know, because there are some places where you do not know where the property lines are. Where the school line is, where the, you know, it's just incredible. It's very, very rugged in a good share of that property, that's low especially.
What,
Because
that's a good point.
I fell into a mud hole up to my waist.
Oh,
Mark Butler saved me.
I pulled you out.
well, the small child, we probably need to identify that, right,
Wish I
so a
could've
small
seen
child
that.
can do that. I mean, I think we need to put something there so a small child can't get swallowed up, you don't think so?
I'm not gonna walk
Okay.
back there.
Absolutely.
Darwin.
What?
Darwin.
But make no mistake about it, it is a
We wanna make
class
sure
two,
no liability.
class 2 wetland. So there are gonna be wetlands in there that, hey,
So it doesn't
people
have
need to,
risk.
I'm sorry, Wayne, people need to identify, if you're entering into a wetland, the muck is gonna suck you
We're your
in
waders.
to a certain point where it's gonna be hard to get out. I mean, so, but if we wanna protect wetlands and we're gonna allow people to come in and walk at their leisure in there, we just gotta, maybe you have small, short signs where the wetlands are.
Because if
you
Wayne
know?
could save himself, a small child's not going to be able to.
Well, I
You know,
held
mean,
out
you know.
I held out a Milky Way, and Wayne went right out.
No, but I mean, we do need to protect and make sure that there's
All
no.
right, so one other thing is, you know, I openly admit that I had a structure that the swing set, my child swings on the line. There are other obvious entry points that are obvious quad, four-wheel, off-road vehicles leaving a resident's property onto that property. Those residents need to be notified that there's clear evidence that off-road vehicles are leaving your property onto, to where, no different than unnotified, okay? Somebody said, hey, we went through the survey and I saw that your swing set's on the line. No different. There's also those, okay, it may not be a structure, but there's trails leaving a resident's property onto that property.
Absolutely,
And
absolutely.
like you said.
Absolutely.
So I think we should have some type of notification for
Right,
those
I
residents
agree.
as well.
And why
I think
wouldn't
they
you send out a letter, just like you do with anybody else that's going against any ordinance? You would send out a letter to say, hey, just a reminder, anybody that lives along the edge of that, this is the ordinance, and
No
please keep that in
motorized, no
mind.
cutting trees and all that kind of stuff.
So we start by
Previously,
educating before we move on to. Right?
Send a letter of violations.
You got time for it.
I'm saying a letter of education, this is what we have, this is how it works, not a violation, because if you do not see something, you cannot assume anything. You send out a letter to people saying this is what the rules are and this is the guidelines and please follow them. And then
Well, that'd be true, but
We could do immediate temporary fencing across those ATV roads, because they're very obvious.
the thing is, they
Yeah.
knew,
So
they
you
knew
saw
that
it.
that property
Absolutely,
wasn't theirs.
absolutely.
I mean, you know, maybe that part, like just a little bit,
Wouldn't
maybe
that
I
be
planted a tree
But
there,
as
but
the
to go
police said,
beyond
we have
that,
to
they
get
knew.
to the point before we can enforce something. So
Wouldn't
we
that
have to
be-
start
wouldn't
setting
that
that
be a
up.
good location then, because you've all said that you wanted some permanent stakes out there. The best permanent stakes would be some signs, and if you've got
Right in the middle.
obvious, right in the middle of the ATV track, a nice little sign that says,
Yeah.
no ATVs allowed per the ordinance.
Right.
Like you said, and just a little sign, and then maybe further down, you got a no hunting sign.
Right.
But you got a pretty good,
We got an idea of where the lines are.
Consistent,
Yeah.
exactly,
Oh, yeah.
right, right.
without
Right.
putting up a fence.
Remove any ambiguity.
Perfect, okay. Moving on then, public comments on non-agenda items. Anyone want to speak to a non-agenda item? Any issues? I get seeing none, we'll move on to additional items from trustees. Item 15, anything else, trustees?
The only thing that I had was my lack of reminder, tomorrow morning at 9:30 a.m. is the Kindness Place Rock Garden Ribbon Cutting Ceremony. It'll be wonderful if anybody's available. You have in your information, the DDA's information on the project brief for the Kindness Place Rocks Gardens. It was put in Saturday, looks beautiful. Ribbon cutting Tuesday morning, tomorrow, 9:30. I apologize, I didn't do that earlier.
So I have a couple things. We kind of blew through the acceptance items pretty quick. I see under item A, there's building department report. It says building department report. Is that the same as the planning commission? So where would be the planning commission?
No, that would be,
report?
that would be built in as
And we got it.
building official report.
And I
Right,
think
we
that-
got it, but don't we typically put them in there, the planning commission acceptance items? And
Then
I
like
didn't
the
miss
DDA
it.
isn't in there, anything either, if
I don't
that's
see the
case.
Brandon Township or minutes under this acceptance items
Well,
either.
yeah, the township, we should be giving their meeting minutes.
Okay, well, I can give you their meeting minutes, but that wouldn't be under acceptance.
We have it, but normally they're under acceptance and you got them all here.
You were provided, but it wasn't listed. It wasn't
I think
listed.
so.
It wasn't
Yeah,
listed.
We've just been putting them in the.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah, they're normally listed.
They're normally listed.
I think maybe because they were only, the planning commission meetings were only the draft meeting, we have not officially approved them yet, so they're
We
not
have the
officially
July as
submitted
well.
yet. We just provided them for your benefit ahead of the
But
meeting, that's all.
but again, there are other ones too. Okay, so that was, I just noticed that. I'm just
So I
saying-
left them off the agenda, but put them in supplemental material, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's the only
Okay.
difference.
He gave us the hard copies, but not as items for acceptance, that's all. And then, so another one, in looking at the planning commission minutes, there's an item here that I circled, item, I guess 2B, or is it 2B? Well anyways, capital improvement plan. So I haven't seen a capital improvement plan. It says here that our village manager provided an updated CIP plan for review to for the planning commission. And I haven't seen a CIP and wanted to know what that was all about.
I can send you a copy. The draft, part of what the planning commission is supposed to do is develop,
Per your recommendation, so are they gonna go through council as well?
oh,
or-
yeah. Yeah, most of it's
Alright, so-
stuff you've approved in the budget, so I can send you a copy.
Yeah,
shoot you a
love
copy
to see
of
the
that.
plan.
Yep.
All right, and then the third item I have is, I did approach Bob, and I probably should have talked to you in regards to, at the base of my driveway, the village many years ago poured an approach that included the approach to my driveway and the sidewalk altogether. Well, at the very bottom of it, first of all, the road, as you know, is crumbling, but at the very bottom of it, there's a 1-inch gap in between the what I'll call curb approach and the actual approach, and water just floods in there, and the road's crumbling right out in front of my. So I asked him if he could fill that gap, so that when the rains come hard, it doesn't just go in there and just soak the road and again create further deterioration. So I'm asking you to look at it. I know
Sure.
Bob, I think, talked to you about it, but it's something that the village poured, and it is right next to the road where the water streams down to that one drain. And when we get the heavy rains, it comes in and all the water just piles up right there.
Yeah, we have some spoils left over from when they pulverized the pavement on Cedar and Schoolhouse Street. And those spoils are being stored now, and they can be used. We have a couple other locations along Church Street, along underneath where the mailboxes are. And those spoils can be used, and they will come back and they will turn hard. So I've talked to Bill, but I wasn't aware of your location, so.
So I just wanted to bring that up, and then
That can be easily taken care of.
the last thing, my wife brought my car home, I don't know, about a month ago, and I see all these black string things alongside my car. And I'm thinking, man, what did you hit? She says, oh, she ran through where Bob was doing the
Crack seal.
cracks. But typically when you do crack seal, they also have very fines that they put over top of that so that it's not picked up by tires and spewed alongside the car. Certainly I got it off, but next time, I know he did an awful lot. I've seen other communities, they put these very fines over top the wet seals so that when cars do run over, it's not picked up and thrown over the cars. Just a comment.
Yeah, because it's no fun. I've had that stuff on my car. Okay, item 16. I move that the council move into closed session to discuss attorney-client privilege letter received dated August 23 of 2018.
Support. It's 9.
No, the actual time.
Roll call vote.
9:36. I know, we got a roll call.
No, she,
Don't forget your phone on purpose, guys.
There's a motion by Councilman Will, supported by Councilman Skornicka to adjourn to a closed session. We need a 2/3 vote. What?
Is he here?
No,
Oh.
no, we need 4 out of 6 of us here tonight, so. Roll call vote, please, to go into closed session.
Bryce? Yes. Butsu?
Yes.
Eshman?
Yes.
Skornica?
Yes.
Sleva?
Yes.
Wills?
Yes. Motion passes.
yeah, we're participating.
Get
a motion to go back
Why don't you
into.
just collect them? We're all just kind of.
We need a motion to move back into open session. We need to get a roll call.
Oh, yeah.
I'd like to make a motion to go back
Pass it on
to
down.
convene open session.
Second.
Support?
There's a motion by Councilman Skornicka and supported by Councilman Butsu to move back into open session. It is now 10:04 p.m. Roll call vote, please.
Eshman?
Yes.
Skornica?
Yes.
Sleva?
Yes.
Wills?
Yes.
Bryce? Yes. Butsu?
Yes. Okay, motion is carried. We're now back in open session, and there is no other items on our agenda to bring before council. So therefore, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion by Councilman Skornicka and supported by Councilman Butsu. All those in favor of the adjournment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is carried. Thank you all. Have a good night.
I'd like to know that
Thank you.
sign, if they got a discount on that